Think about this for a second. You're standing in line at a high-end coffee shop. Behind you is a guy wearing a gold-plated watch, a designer tracksuit with logos plastered everywhere, and shoes that cost more than your monthly rent. He's checking his reflection in every window he passes. Then there's another person. They're wearing a plain gray t-shirt, worn-out jeans, and a pair of beat-up sneakers. They look like they haven't spent a dime on their wardrobe in 5 years. Now, if I told you one of them was a multi-millionaire and the other was 3 missed payments away from losing everything, which one would you bet on? Most people pick the gold watch, but the truth is almost always the opposite. There is a specific, almost eerie psychological reason why some of the most successful people on the planet have absolutely zero desire for luxury. It's not because they're cheap, and it's not because they're boring. It's something much deeper, a psychological shift that changes how you see the entire world. But the real reason why this rejection of luxury is actually a superpower is something most people will never understand. And I'm going to reveal the status trap that keeps most people broke at the very end of this video. We live in a world that screams at us to show off. From the moment you wake up and scroll through your feed, you are bombarded with images of private jets, red-bottomed shoes, and steering wheel shots of cars that cost 6 figures. We've been conditioned to believe that luxury is the ultimate reward for hard work. We're told that if you've made it, you should look like you've made it. But have you ever noticed that the louder someone screams about their wealth, the less they usually have? There's a silent group of people walking among us. They have the bank accounts to buy the dealership, yet they drive a 10-year-old Toyota. They could live in a palace, but they prefer a modest home in a quiet neighborhood. You might look at them and feel a sense of pity, thinking they're missing out on the finer things in life. But they aren't missing out. They've actually discovered a secret about the human brain that you haven't. Let's talk about Mark. Mark is a fictional character, but his story is one you see every single day. Mark spent 15 years climbing the corporate ladder. He sacrificed his weekends, his health, and his relationships for one goal: the corner office and the lifestyle that came with it. When he finally got that big promotion, the first thing he did was buy a Porsche. He wanted the world to know he'd arrived. For the first week, he felt like a god. Every time he sat in those leather seats, he got a hit of dopamine so strong it felt like a drug. But then something strange happened. By month 3, the Porsche was just a car. It sat in traffic just like his old Honda. The leather didn't smell as sweet. The engine didn't sound as powerful. And even worse, Mark noticed his neighbor just bought a Ferrari. Suddenly, the Porsche felt like a failure. Mark was caught on what psychologists call the hedonic treadmill. No matter how fast he ran, no matter how much he bought, his level of happiness stayed exactly the same. He was addicted to the new, but the new always becomes the old. This is the first reason why some people have zero desire for luxury. They've realized the treadmill is a lie. They understand that the human brain is wired for adaptation. We are incredibly good at getting used to things. That luxury villa with the infinity pool, after 6 months, it's just the place where you brush your teeth. The people who reject luxury have recognized that buying things to achieve happiness is like drinking salt water to quench your thirst. It only makes you hungrier. But there's a more sophisticated psychological layer to this. It's called counter-signaling. You see, in the world of social status, there are levels. At the bottom, you have people struggling to survive. In the middle, you have the strivers. These are the people who desperately want to be seen as high status. They are the primary consumers of luxury goods. They buy the logos because they need the logos to signal to the world that they aren't at the bottom. But then you have the people at the very top. These people have so much wealth, so much power, and so much internal confidence that they no longer feel the need to signal. In fact, they do the opposite. They counter-signal. By dressing down, by avoiding brands, by staying invisible, they're sending a much more powerful message. That message is, I am so secure in my position that I don't need your validation. Think about the late Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg. Why the same outfit every day? Why the lack of jewelry or flash? It's partly about decision fatigue. They have to make world-altering decisions every hour. They don't want to waste any ounce of brain power on choosing a tie. But it's also a power move. When you are the most powerful person in the room, you don't need a Gucci belt to prove it. The lack of luxury becomes the ultimate luxury. You might be thinking, that's fine for billionaires, but what about regular people who just don't care about nice things? This brings us to the concept of the cost of ownership. Most people look at a luxury item and see the price tag. They see $5,000 for a watch or $100,000 for a car. But the people who reject luxury see a different price. They see the mental cost. Every expensive thing you own eventually owns you. A luxury car requires specialized maintenance, expensive insurance, and the constant fear of someone scratching it in a parking lot. A massive house requires a small army to clean and maintain. A wardrobe of delicate designer clothes requires constant trips to the dry cleaner. People with zero desire for luxury value one thing above all else: freedom. They want the freedom to not care. They want to be able to spill coffee on their shirt and not have it ruin their day. They want to park their car anywhere without checking the security cameras. They realize that luxury often comes with a set of golden handcuffs. There's also the element of internal validation. We live in a society that is externally driven. We look for likes, comments, and nods of approval. But a rare group of people has flipped the switch. Their sense of self-worth comes from what they do, what they know, and who they are, not what they own. When you truly like yourself, the need to impress strangers vanishes. Why would you spend money you worked hard for to win the fleeting approval of people you don't even like? It's a form of psychological maturity. It's the realization that status is a game played by people who are insecure about their place in the tribe. If you know you are a lion, you don't need to roar to prove it. But let's get to the most haunting part of this. There is a reason why the zero-desire mindset is actually a survival mechanism in the modern age. We are entering an era where conspicuous consumption, showing off, is becoming a liability. In an age of economic volatility and social tension, the truly smart people are practicing stealth wealth. They realized long ago that a target on your back is the most expensive thing you can wear. Now, I promised to reveal the status trap that keeps most people broke. This is the secret that the luxury industry spends billions of dollars to keep you from realizing. The trap is this: luxury is not designed for the rich. It is designed for the people who want to look rich. The luxury industry thrives on aspirational buyers. They don't make their real money from the billionaires. They make it from the person making $60,000 a year who's willing to go into credit card debt for a handbag. The industry sells you a feeling of belonging to a club that actually doesn't exist. When you buy that luxury item, you aren't joining the elite. You are simply identifying yourself as someone who is susceptible to the trap. The people who have zero desire for luxury have seen behind the curtain. They know that the most expensive things in life are actually free: time, deep relationships, a clear conscience, and the ability to walk through the world without needing anyone's permission to feel important. So, the next time you feel that itch to buy something flashy, something to show the world you've made it, ask yourself, who am I trying to impress, and why does their opinion matter more than my own freedom? If you've made it this far, you're likely one of the few who values truth over trends. You understand that the loudest person in the room is often the weakest, and the quietest is often the most powerful. If you want to stay ahead of the crowd and join the silent minority who actually keeps their freedom in a world of noise, you know which button to click. Join us, and let's keep uncovering the truth together.